like, Candice, I'm doing all these things. One or two is actually impacting your goal. And so there's 3 extra things that you're doing that are taking up time. It's just not being used effectively or efficiently.
What advice would you give somebody if they're like 20% behind their goal?
Really define, hey, what is leading to the success? If you're at 80% to your goal, 20% behind, that's a good place to be, in my opinion. And I would say, hey, what's got me here? What can I double down on that is going to allow me to get where I want to go? And then what am I wasting time on? That's really not leading me to the results there.
In today's episode of Not Nice Clever, we are rolling out the roadmap in progress to figure out, identify, be strategic, and crush the rest of the year. This episode is coming out in July at the time of this recording. However, you can use it really if you're just thinking in terms of 6-month targets and progress, but we are thinking how to make the most of the rest of this year, of 2024. And so we've got a few tips. We're sharing things that are on our mind, how we are being both intentional and strategic. So if this is also on your mind as a busy CEO, entrepreneur, broker, founder, listen up, buckle up. Listen up, buckle up. Yeah, that works. Candice, just start talking. I'm going down a rabbit hole here.
Okay, so the first thing that you should do we're entering Q3, so that means that we're entering the second half of the year. And this is an amazing opportunity to really look back and say, where am I in relation to the goals that I set at the beginning of this year? Mm-hmm. It might also be an opportunity to say, are the goals that I set at the beginning of this year still right for me?
Right. Relevant.
Yeah, relevant. Does it still make sense? Like, there are things that I have new plans for that weren't even in my plan for the beginning of the year. But looking at data has allowed me to see an opportunity for a new stream of income. And if I hadn't sat down and said, where am I might have missed that opportunity. So look at your goals. And some of you right now are feeling a little bit guilty. Maybe you're getting a little sweaty. You're like, oh shit, I never wrote down goals at the beginning of the year.
Well, you know, the next best time to write them down is right now.
It is right now. Yeah.
It's right now. It's okay if you didn't do it in January. Cool. You can't change that. Let's write them down right now.
You don't have to be afraid of setting goals or writing down your plans. You should be excited by writing down your plans. They should make you feel good about moving towards something that matters to you. Mm-hmm. I feel like in the times where I didn't write things down and I didn't say what mattered to me, like make that declaration, I was easily swayed into other people's plans.
Yes, by default or by design, right? How often do we talk about that? Not just in terms of personal brand, but like life, career, reputation, wardrobe, all of it.
If someone doesn't have a plan, I might rein them in to help me with my plan. And that's just normal, right? That's just something that's going to happen in business. But if you have a plan, then you can build. Yes, then you can make choices and be discerning about, is this leading me towards the goals that I have for myself, or is this a distraction?
I literally, just as you were talking, I need to pull up what I got advice this morning from one of the apps on my phone. And I'll tell you the app after I read you the quote, because I don't want anybody to be biased here. But the last line of the advice today was, if you don't take up this space, someone less qualified and brilliant will. So claim it.
Oh, it's so good. I love that. Yes. Wait, one more time, please.
If you don't take up this space, someone less qualified and brilliant will. So claim it.
Okay, tell the people the app. We already know it has to do with astrology.
You know what? You can sit down, ma'am, miss, in your office in Temecula. Yes, it's an astrology app. It's the Chani app, Chani. If you have CoStar or the Pattern, those are great. I like Chani better. Just for me, try it out, see what you think. But it gives us those little bits of advice that leverage what's going on. And look, even if it's not always accurate, y'all, that line, you don't even have to believe into astrology to be like, yep,
No.
I will claim this.
Right.
Like, I am qualified. I am brilliant. This, I'm going to take up space and not apologize for it. Like, that's cool. So I thought that was like, that kind of came to me as I was listening to you.
Another thing that would be a great thing to do right now is just Google Wheel of Life. As a life coach, I use that tool many times with my clients. And essentially, yeah, Google it. It's a wheel that has, I think it's 8 different aspects of life, like work, relationships, family.
Friends, fun,
Yep.
money, spirituality, love, career.
Ooh. And what you do is you kind of color in how are you feeling when it comes to your career? Are you like coloring up to a 5 or up to a 10? Like basically, if you Google it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And it can kind of show you like how balanced is your wheel? Are you spending time in the areas that matter most to you? Are you neglecting some parts of your life?
I'm literally taking the assessment right now. I'm
Yeah.
also listening to you.
Yeah.
But okay, hold on. Now I'm going to pause so I can be present here on this recording. But okay, love it.
It's gonna help you to see, okay, maybe you've been going really hard on work, but you've been missing out on family time and you haven't been taking care of your health and wellness. It's just gonna give you that visual representation of how you're currently feeling, which can inform the decisions that you make in quarter 3 and quarter 4.
So genius. I literally just marked career as a 10, but health as like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah.
I will have to revisit that. No, that is so good.
Such a simple tool that you can literally print out for free online, do it on your own. We'd be happy. Take a picture, DM it to us. We want to know.
All the assessment results. Reviewing your goals, writing them down. For me, I personally am not excited by the term goal, so I've called it targets. Like it's like target practice. Like what am I aiming for? Like I love the Sarah Blakely quote, and I don't know if she originally said it, but I heard it from her first of whatever you want to set your sights on, aim higher so that you land where you want to land.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call them like targets, like what am I aiming for? What am I like aspiring to? And the other thing that I like to do, like not only reviewing like Q2, how you stood, but then also the past 6 months, like from January to present, I also love to do what's called a quarterly energy audit, which this is a concept that I learned about through my coach, Andrea Crowder. And it's where you look at all of the tasks and activities and responsibilities and duties that you're currently doing, that you've been doing this past quarter. Because we know, Candice, we always have that do versus delegate conversation with clients. I have it with myself, right? And we set out the beginning of the year, cool, I'm going to do this and I'm going to delegate that. But then somebody is sick or somebody goes on vacation and then you just do that because you can get it done quicker than having to like train somebody else or cross-train.
I just hired someone and then it's been 2 weeks and I haven't onboarded them because I just don't have the time.
Same. My ops assistant comes on board this Thursday and I cannot wait. But like take a moment to look at, and this is kind of like a time audit, but like the energy audit, I want you to look at like what have you been doing that you're really excited to do that's easy for you to do? And then what are the things that you like avoid doing that you keep on procrastinating on, that you keep pushing off? Like that's probably, you should be delegating that. And did you say you were going to delegate it? You just haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Being honest, right? With what you're actually doing. Mm-hmm. How would you, Candice, if somebody listening is not at the goals that they have set, because I feel like language that people use a lot is that they're 50% to goal or they're 5% past goal. What advice would you give somebody if they're like 20% behind their goal at the halfway mark of the year?
I would say look back at how you're spending your time to see if the things that you're doing, the activities you're participating, the actions you're taking, which ones of those are leading you to being at that point or what's holding you back from being where you want to be. Because a lot of times what I find is that people don't spend, they're like, Candice, I'm doing all these things. Maybe they're doing 5 things, right?
Right.
Really only 1 or 2 is actually impacting your goal. And so there's 3 extra things that you're doing that are taking up time that is just not being used effectively or efficiently. So really define, hey, what is leading to the success? If you're at, you know, 80% to your goal, if you're only 20% behind, that's a good place to be, in my opinion. And I would say, hey, what's got me here? What can I double down on that is going to allow me to get where I want to go? And then what am I wasting time on that's really
Yeah.
not leading me to the results there?
Yeah. I was having this conversation with a client and they were asking me like if they should be on LinkedIn or if they should be on YouTube. And I'm like, start where you are. What is actually generating you business today? And then what can
Yes.
we leverage and build upon? Because not all channels are right for everybody in this very moment. And
Yep.
do you want to be busy or do you want to be effective?
I like to tell my real estate clients that I want you to participate in one activity that we know is going to bring you business now. Maybe for a newer agent, that's open houses. That's going to give you business right now in the next month, right? Boom. You're going to connect with people. You're going to build your CRM. Like there's huge opportunity there. That's business now. And then I want you to also choose a second thing that's going to bring you business over the long term. That might be something like YouTube, where it's going to take 3 to 6 months to ramp up. But once it does, you're going to be booked and busy forever. And so if you kind of have that mindset where like there's two things, there's one thing that I know that's going to do it really quick and it's going to be now. And there's one thing that's really going to build and create a library of content that's going to work for you while you're sleeping, then that's how I like to do it with my clients.
Another analogy, I love that, is it was like an artwork analogy. And I have no idea where like I came up with this. Maybe I was like talking with somebody who like just loves the arts or like music or whatever. But I said like there's things going on in like the foreground of your business that keeps the lights on. And then there's things going on in the background of your business that sets you up for sustainability, for scalability. And it's navigating the balance of both, not just doing one or the other. Because one or the other, you might not survive long enough, but you might not ever get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But doing both is the guy.
If you think of your business like a play, everything that's going on behind the stage still matters.
Yeah.
It's still impacting
Those stars on the stage can't do
right.
shit without like the people behind the curtain.
Exactly.
I love that. Maybe we should do a whole episode on analogies.
Maybe we should.
I feel like we could totally just riff on that. Whatever analogy is going to get through to you guys, truly. Like that's just, we're just constantly testing and experimenting. Like how can we say this in a way that will resonate?
I'm working on my own goal of building out the content lab. So my goal this year is to have 100 people enroll in the content lab, and I rolled it out in Q2 of this year. And so that's my goal. And for me, I don't even have like a specific amount of launches that I want to do. I just know that I will need 100 enrollees. So that could be from one more launch. That can be from 2 more launches. It doesn't matter how they come to me. It's that I have 100 people, because if 100 people have a positive experience with the content lab, that's going to easily double the amount of enrollees I'll have next year, because all of those people will be talking about how the content lab impacted their experience. And I've already had friends of people who have taken the content lab take the content lab, which means it's working. So those are things I'm thinking about. And then I'm also thinking about, okay, if naturally people are getting their friends to join the next round of the content lab, what type of affiliate program could I create that would encourage them to really share, not just reward them for sharing, right? So that's something else that I'm thinking about, because I sat down and looked at the data.
That's where you leverage, like it brings and allows you to shine as like an instructor, but it's in a group setting. So it's not one-to-one. So it is more scalable. The next thought that like I'm thinking of as you're saying that, like affiliate program, like that requires management, that requires being in the details, that requires team support. And that's another thing. Like I know you mentioned you were bringing on somebody to support you with the facilitation of the content lab.
I already have someone.
Beautiful. So,
and then I have an assistant, and there's just online affiliate platforms that make it super easy for like the platform manages the affiliate everything, like hands off. It generates a link. I share my assistant shares the link, and I don't even see money. Money gets distributed through the platform. So pretty easy.
Figuring out too, when you're looking at the tasks that you're doing, like do versus delegate, like figuring out what you can do to invest to get your time back. Like that, those are the hires that I'm making right now when summertime historically is a quieter time for business, but it's a time where I'll have slightly more bandwidth to be able to properly onboard somebody and give them all the resources that they need and be able to essentially my vision. So your vision for Content Lab is like 100 enrollees. Fantastic. There's so many different ways you can get there, but I love that you're super clear in that because for me, in the hiring decisions I'm making, I'm thinking, how do I get myself out of my phone?
Yeah.
I want to get myself out of my phone. I want to be in community at more events. I want to be on more podcasts because I know that's a sales tactic for me. It's like, it's funny to call it a sales tactic, but apparently the custom GPT that I built said that is how I grow sales for my business is by being out there, and that works. And how can I delegate all of the things that require me to be stuck in my calendar, in my inboxes, in my social media scheduler, in like the technicals, the back end of ManyChat, the back end of my email, like all of that.
Yeah.
Get me out of my phone so I can basically just be me and have more Gemini time, right? Like more follow-up, like we were talking about in a prior episode.
Yeah, I think that going into the second half of the year, it's definitely time to be thinking about if you're feeling like you're too busy, then thinking about scaling. If you're feeling like there's not enough going on and you don't have enough clients, then thinking about the actions that you are taking every single day to make conversations happen. That's where I would focus first. If you're feeling like you don't know where your next client is coming from, that just means you need to have more conversations.
Yeah.
That's the first next right step.
Another thing that I like to do, which it's funny that you mentioned like the wheel of life assessment. So I have what's called like my monthly milestones. And this is also something that I adapted from one of my coaches, where she would write down all the things that she wants to continue seeing more of in her business. So it's a way to goal set without goal setting. You're just kind of like appreciating, right? And expressing gratitude. It's an act or practice of gratitude. And I get to fill them out for June because we're recording this in early July. And let me see if I can pull up so like my note for May was tracking total gross income, total cash received, paying down credit card debt to prepare for like our next home purchase. Like, so that's a personal one, not necessarily like business.
Yeah.
All-time podcast downloads, which by the way, we crossed 20,000 last month. In May. I don't even know where we are in June.
Nice. And we're
top
trending
3%.
in Portugal.
We were trending in Portugal. I'm going to add that hold on. Let me just actually build my June. Trending in Portugal, literally. And the other stacks are great. Like one of them was I made a commitment to get a massage every other week.
Ooh, every other week. That's nice.
Let me tell you, my mind is like a rabbit hole. It's so hard to turn it off. Getting a massage, I don't think about anything.
Nice.
And it just like eases all of the tension. And if I'm the thing that, powers my business, I need to make sure that I am at 100%. And that's one way that I nourish myself, like physically and emotionally. Yeah, but just like writing down all the things you want to see more of, like notable people, podcasts you were on, interviews, launching things. It's just like whatever. There's this thing, it's called the reticular activating system in your brain. Have you heard about that?
I've heard that, but I don't know what it does.
It is basically where if I were Candice to tell you about my Shiba Inu Piper, and you already know her, but like if I were to tell you more about her and how cute she is, and she's like a little fox, and I tell you about Shibas and how they're Japanese breed and they're one of the oldest dog breeds in the world and da-da-da-da-da, right? We're going to leave this conversation. You're going to go walk down, the beautiful beach in San Diego, and you're going to suddenly see Shibas everywhere because I told you about them, because your brain's like, oh, I'm learning about Shibas. Let me look for Shibas. So it's basically whatever you focus on, whatever you tell your brain to focus on, that's what it's going to look for.
Yeah.
So the second half of the year, what do you want to see more of? What do you want to replicate that was in the first half? Write it down, look at it. Like I look at my stacking note, like once a week. And it's like, what do you want to grow? What do you want to see more of together with the goals that you set? Then knowing and reverse engineering, okay, what are the things I can do to like make those things happen so that I can see more of it and continue to see it grow?
I used to have this screensaver on my phone that says, when you focus on the good gets better.
Ooh,
And
I like that.
I think it's like such a great thing for like the having the right energy and kind of like manifesting, I think, because if you're focusing on the things that are going well and you're grateful for them, then you can also continue to replicate them. And your body, if you're grateful for them, your body knows like, hey, I'm excited about that. That's good. You're going to want to do more of it just naturally. And so just recognizing that growth, recognizing where you are is huge in getting to where you want to be. Just like not beating yourself up about things either. Sometimes also life happens. Like maybe you had a lofty goal and life just lifed last quarter. And that happens sometimes. That doesn't mean anything about you or your abilities. Just get back to it.
That was literally January and February for me. January, February, and March of this year were, Candice knows, like they were rough. They were like crucible months. And my stacking note is organized by month. And I hadn't started tracking my stacks until April, but every month or so I went back and I just recently captured all of March and I looked back at my calendar, which is why I'm so glad I'm very vigilant about tracking what I do, because now I think I put it in my calendar to do my February stacks. So I haven't, y'all, it's July and I want to, but I still want to have like these monthly milestones that I look back on. So I'm going to take some time in July to look back in February and see what I can appreciate, you know? And you can retroactively capture it. There's no rules that say you can't. So it's just, you know, do what's going to make you feel good so that you can see more good and make it better.
There you go.
We hope these tips are helpful in helping you build out a successful latter half of the year or even a successful next 6 months, wherever you are listening to this, whenever you are. And if you have a tip or a strategy that we didn't share, we would love to know because we're always super curious. You can slide into our DMs at Not Nice Clever on Instagram. And remember to share this with a friend who needs to get their shit together for the next 6 months too.